All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new For Your Success podcast, the podcast for aspiring and existing entrepreneurs looking to get inspired by other entrepreneurs that have built a successful business or are currently in the build-up of building their successful business. And today we have a really special guest who I go way back with, named Sasha Karabut. Sasha, great to have you here, man. Sasha is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Ecom Capital. And at Ecom Capital, they are helping e-commerce brands grow profitably, specifically e-commerce brands from 0 to 10K per month in 90 days or less, or e-commerce brands that are already at a good mark, scale them to 100,000 plus. I know what Sasha is doing because of, like I said, we go way back in terms of what we've been doing. I think there was also a time that we were working together and helping also in terms of Ecom Capital and growing that to a good level. Now Sasha has been able to scale his business tremendously. He has some incredible goals, which I think you guys really need to hear. So I can't wait until we get into that. But Sasha, great to have you here. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. And let's take it all the way to the beginning, so people can learn a little bit more about yourself, like who you are, how it all started, basically where you came from, and like I said, see where the podcast takes us from there, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much for having me, and it's great to be here. Thanks for making the time, and thanks for inviting me on. So, wow, where to start specifically? I guess do you want to kind of timestamp back through to like non-entrepreneurial days?
Yes.
Or do you think it's
before?
Right.
Like, how did you get into it? That would be amazing.
Got it. Okay, cool. So, I mean, when I kind of grew up, I grew up with three different siblings, mum and dad. My mum and dad kind of split up when I was about 13 years old. I grew up in a very small town. There was about 3,000 people population. Most of my school friends were like farmers and agricultural kind of like people that kind of look after livestock and all those things. So I never really had any inspiration. I never really had any kind of like environmental conditioning in terms of like, hey, you should make a lot of money, or hey, like you should build a business. It was always just like, definitely like go to university. That was the thing that my parents were like just drilling into me. It was just like, you must get a job, go to college or university, study for a long damn time, get really intelligent in your brain, and hopefully like get a good, and that was kind of the shtick that I kind of was told all through school. Through school and stuff like that, I don't know, maybe I was just like, I had my head in the fucking clouds or something, but it just didn't really stick. Like I just, something about it just seemed like not quite right. I was always very, very, very shy and really introverted, and I didn't speak very much. So I think I just like watched and observed a lot more. I didn't, talk a whole lot. I didn't have like heaps of friends. I always felt like really awkward and kind of weird. And so I think I built like a really good awareness of just like observing and kind of watching what was going on, and just coming to my own kind of like assumptions of, I guess, like what I believe the right way is versus just like what other people do, if that makes sense. I guess you would think that maybe would have helped me, but when I was like 19, 20, 21, I started working in multiple different jobs, mostly around like construction, mining, those kinds of areas, just to really make money, because my brother was working a few gigs out there and he was like, come out here, make some really good money. So kind of just got swept up into that for a little while, and then came back to Brisbane from like remote Northern Territory, and started working in like one of the main kind of like cities around like Australia here on the East Coast, and just got really caught up in the whole like party scene, got really caught up in like using drugs, got really caught up in just like trying to just be a degenerate idiot that was like living for the weekend, like genuinely. And so there was a period of about like 5 years, I would say, of my life there that was just consumed, probably 6 years of my life that was just consumed by like drugs, daily, partying all the time, hanging out with degenerates, losing jobs, losing family members, losing like friends, just losing everything. And that kind of got me to a stage where I was about 25-ish and had no job, had a drug addiction. I was using drugs every day. And I was just at a point where I kind of racked up so much debt and so much kind of credit card debt, personal loan debt, car debt. I couldn't pay any of it off. I didn't have a job. I was like broken. And I spoke to this kind of like debt consolidation company, and they do this thing where they kind of like wrap up all of your debt into one big consolidated loan, and then they negotiate on your behalf with like the bank to stretch out the loan term. And so I was like 25, and they were like, all right, Sasha, we've fixed your problem for you. We're going to take your 130 odd thousand, and rather than paying it off in 7 years, it's going to be 12 or 13 years. So that's going to bring your weekly, because I couldn't even afford the weekly payments. I was defaulting all the time. They were ringing me, people knocking on my door. I was like, just absolutely at wit's end, right? And they stretched it out over 12 years. And I remember this like interesting feeling of satisfaction that I could actually make the payments on a weekly basis, and a really, really, really deep sense of like dread. Like you've just completely fucked the next 13 years of your life. Like you are going to be 37 to 38 years old before you get out of this, bro. And it was this like sinking feeling where I was like, I'm getting goosebumps right now, where I was like, I just felt like I was like worthless, nothing left. There's no point even trying. I was just like, wow. And that was a very, very, very challenging kind of like time to go through. And I think a lot of that kind of relates back to being a victim and blaming every single other person around me, except for actually taking ownership of my life. Like I remember when I was going through that, for the whole time I was like, oh, well, if only this person would give me a pay rise, if only they would give me a break, if only this. And I was constantly just giving all of my energy to all these different people and never actually taking ownership of my life. So that kind of landed me there. And I don't know how or what it was. I think there was just this like deep dissatisfaction in myself where I was so unhappy and so depressed and miserable in my current state that I just decided that like I was not going to kind of like stay there anymore. And I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what the next thing was. I had no idea of like where I was going, but I'm like, motherfucker, this is not it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, this is not it. And so one of my friends at the time, he had like this partner or friend in like this automotive repair business, repairing like cars after the hailstorms. And I kind of caught wind of this thing, and some of them were like, guy, you know, you can make like $5,000 a week, you can make $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month. And I was like, this sounds illegal. You know what I mean? It's like the first time you someone tells you making money online, and you're like, you do what? Like, and how much do you get paid? Like, it's the same thing. You think it's a scam. Like, you think because your brain can't compute, and you're just sitting there and you're like, I can't resonate with that. It doesn't register. My brain's literally like, this is not real. And so I remember going to this like facility where they did this training and stuff like that. And I went and met these guys, and they were like, yeah, this is kind of what you do. And it was $25,000 to like enroll in this program to take part in like almost like a licensed program thing where they would help you to train you, and then they would give you like a little business, and then you'd be off on your own to go and like find your own, I guess, like business and clients. And they maybe, if you do really well, they might bring you into their company, and then you come and work for them. So I'm at the bottom of like 130 grand of debt. I'm sitting there depressed every single day, and I just made my mind up that was the thing that I had to do. And I literally called like every person that I would ever have damn called that was nice enough to pick up my phone calls, and just ask for money. I'm like, bro, I need some money. I need some more money. Like, you know how fucked up this is. You know how banged up and broke I am right now. I need more money. Like, I need 25 grand. And so I managed to get 13,000 off one of my mates and 12,000 off another one of my mates. And I went into this program, and it's a hard thing because like I look at that, and that was the only reason that I was successful, is because I had no option to fail. Like, I genuinely was like walking into that facility, that training thing every single day, into this workshop, and I had this like demon inside me that I was like, nobody in here is going to touch me. All of you motherfuckers are dead. All of you, like, no one is going to come close to how fast and how quick and how like what I'm going to do to fucking this. I was like, it's over. You know what I mean? And so within about like the first 6 months, I think I made about $100,000, and then the next year in that business, I made about $700,000 in like actual like my own personal take-home profit. And it was wild, dude. Like, it just completely transformed my life. But that was like the obvious thing. Obviously, I paid my debts back and I paid back all of those, people and things like that. I bought some properties, which was cool. But the biggest thing was, it was just like, if you just had some fucking courage and balls to do the thing that you should do, how much could you actually achieve? Right? And it was like this huge, like, mind expanding shift that I was like, holy fucking shit. 13 years. I did it in 13 months. And I was like, holy shit. And then all of these people started asking me, for help, and they asked me for mentorship, they asked me for support. So I started kind of jumping into the online space a little bit as I kind of progressed, and I ran that automotive business for about a couple more years, but it was very like seasonal, only when it stormed, and it was very like location dependent. So you'd work in one location, then you'd stop working, then you'd have to go to the next one, So you're always kind of like moving around, and it was fun and novel. But I wanted something consistent. I wanted something scalable. I wanted something international, complete expansion, and I wanted something 24 hours a fucking day. So I was like, the e-commerce space and this whole digital, this is my, this is where I'm going to go and make my claim. And so I started kind of venturing into like marketing. I started getting a lot into digital marketing. This is probably now maybe 6 years ago now. I started getting pretty heavily into the digital marketing space. I had a lot of people coming and asking me for help and support and advice, and how did you make so much money? What did you do? Like business advice and mindset advice and all these things. So I naturally started to kind of like accumulate some clients and stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing, zero idea at all. Like it probably looked like I was really successful, but my online business was making like a few $1,000s a month. Like it was random here and there, post on social media. Somebody says they'll pay you. You're like, oh my God, I got a client. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was super challenging. That kind of like morphed and emerged into like the passion for e-commerce specifically, because I like the tangibility of it. Like I like the idea of having like a physical product. I love the idea of like people receiving a physical product. I like the value of e-commerce businesses. I think they have a lot of value. I think like they're very quick to grow if you know what you're doing, and you can like really accelerate growth massively if you get a few of the right inputs correct. So I kind of really just committed to that space, and then we founded the company, my ex-business partner and I, Ecom Capital, in I think it was 2019, around about then. So it's been about coming up to 4 years now that I've been running this company, and then him and I kind of went our separate ways, and it's just been me now for the last 2 odd years. And yeah, this has been the main thing. This has been the full-time thing for the best part of, I'd say coming up to 5 years, and huge plans for the future. Lots of clients internationally, and just super excited, man. Super excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sasha, this is a great rundown, man. And I think in a nutshell, like the entire journey, basically from start to basically where it's now. So I want to touch upon a little bit of a couple of things that you mentioned basically in the beginning. I always say, and I'm a good connection and friend of mine, Iman Gachi, he always says like, it's, people do it either out of inspiration or desperation, right? When basically starting out. So it's either those two things. From what I'm hearing for you, it was like more the desperation, like in terms of, you were sitting there so much in debt, not knowing how and what, you basically had to do something. For me, it was like the same thing. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have a business. Like I needed to take care of my family. I needed to take care of them, and of course myself first, and then for them. So when talking about that, like then probably a lot of people that are looking at this, they might think, I currently am starting out right now, or I'm a little bit further, and they really get inspired by your story, because I when I was listening to you just now, I'm thinking to myself, whoa, man, this dude, like at 25, 26, even being in that rut, you still went out to your friends, asked them for something, made a 25K investment, and then just went all in on that, and it worked, right? While some people might think like, oh no, I'm gonna just be here where I'm at, not take that action, and just be where I'm at. So would you say like that part of like being in such a situation really triggered you basically to say, okay, this needs to change, and I'm gonna go all in, or it's basically all or nothing, because what do you have to lose, right? Like it's you're very, 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 like, the person with nothing to lose is a fucking dangerous person. They're dangerous. And so like I always say to people, if I hear it as an objection, or if I tell my sales team, like, if you hear it as an objection ever, like I'm broken, I don't have money, it's like,
so what? Like, you're broke anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
what have you got to lose? You know what I mean? It's like, you're already at zero, bro. Like, swing for the fucking fences. And that was kind of my mindset. And I think it was also just because I was, there's an analogy that I heard in a podcast, and it goes something like the monkey swinging between the trees. It always has to let go of the branch that it's holding onto before it reaches the next branch. You know what I'm saying? And so people are getting around in life and they're trying to hold on to where they're at and try and grab the next branch at the same time, and then let go and then grab the next one. And I'm like, it doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to trust that your letting go will open you up to be able to actually hit that next opportunity. And if you don't let go, like, you're going to fall flat on your fucking face. And so, I think for me, I don't know what it is. I think part of it, to be honest, and just being straight transparent, I think part of it is a little bit of just like ego, definitely. Just being like, I want to prove people wrong. I want to prove myself wrong. And then second thing is just courage. Like, I think courage is crucially important. One of my mentors said to me the other day, he said, how much of what, because we were talking through some leadership things with my team, some training, some leadership development we're doing with my team at the moment. And he's like, how many of the issues that you have with your team at the moment do you think would be solved if they just had more courage? And I was like, that's huge. Like, probably fucking like 80%. Wow. If they just had the balls to be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ship this. I'm going to get it done. I don't need Sasha's approval. This is the right thing. I'm like, probably 80% of the slowdowns and the fuck ups and the things where I'm like getting annoyed at would be resolved. And it's the same thing for like a person or people kind of like in that startup position. Like, most of what's holding you back is just a lack of courage. Like, it really is. It's just like, have some big balls and be like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
100%.
It's hard to do though. It is.
It's hard to it's hard to do, and it's hard to learn, right? Especially like when for me as well, like, it was the same thing. Like, you need to go all in. Like, for me, it was always like, what do I have to lose? Like, you like, right? Like, there's nothing that you have to lose. Just go for it. Just do it. So let's go into the e-commerce part of things, because I have a lot of people that also, either help with their marketing agency e-commerce brands, or they have an e-commerce brand themselves. I myself am also like a kind of a partner, with a couple of e-commerce brands, but I'm always looking and talking with a couple of people, and they always say like, what is the best way to start? Basically, when it comes down to like, when you're from like zero, when it comes down to like building an e-commerce brand. Some would say like, do drop shipping, start with product research, start looking at that first, find a good winning product, scale that up basically until you have the capital to basically reinvest it into, or make it really like a brand where you have the logistics in close to you. What would be your, like, if we take it like from ground up, what would be the best way? And perhaps like, touch upon like your story, or like how that went, perhaps, because I know you've also had like multiple like products, right? Or like multiple like like stores and all those things. So what would be like the best way to go like from 0 to 10K in the e-commerce field, and specifically also like the business field, like in general, in your opinion?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess it depends on a few things. So it depends on risk appetite. It depends on how much money you've got. It depends on how quickly you're looking to do it. So let's just say, for example, I personally, me right now, was going to, I wanted to go from 0, or let's say I wanted to get to $10,000 or $20,000 in the shortest time possible. I probably would do a similar thing to what I did, only because I'm talking about myself and I have a little bit maybe of additional kind of like disposable capital that I could use. I'd probably go and find in a network of people a store with an owner that is not really knowing what they do, great brand, amazing product, and I'd probably just buy it from them. Because you've got the assets, you've got everything organized, they've put all the groundwork in, they've just lost the entrepreneurial spark to run the business, and you probably can acquire that thing for 5 to 15,000, and it's a great business, and things are set up, and you can come in and actually like deploy good marketing to it. So that's what I might do if it was like me personally wanting to just have a bit of fun and build a business. If I was to go from scratch, absolute zero, and assuming that like I'm speaking in the mindset of like maybe someone who is just starting out, I would very much focus a lot more of my time and energy on product and branding and quality like development and solving a problem. And I wouldn't as much worry about like, let's get into making cash quick. I would really, really, really devote my passion or time or energy to like finessing the details of a brand or finessing the details of like something that is valuable for customers. Because if you can delay gratification for maybe like 6 to 9 months in like really, really good product development, really quality like wrapping, packaging, like the whole customer experience, and map that thing out and create something that's valuable, you'll have something that's a lot longer and a lot more profitable than just a quick little flash in the pan, so that would be my personal kind of advice. And I would spend more time on the product research, product development. I'd scrape as much information and data from tools and various different, I'd probably use a lot of the tools that I have in my programs and services, and I'd really deploy a lot of time and energy into just like ensuring that the way I'm going to bring this new product to market has a specific like niche hole in the market, and I'm creating something with very particular messaging for a very particular demographic, and I'm going to launch that thing on one platform, being Facebook, and I know exactly how that's going to come because I've got a really like awesome brand that's being built. So if I was to go from zero, I would focus more on the brand. I probably wouldn't go into some like drop shipping kind of strategy. I just find it, I find it a distraction, and I find that it's like a slot machine a little bit. Like people, you make a little bit of money and then you're like, oh my God, I'm making money. And then like the product dies and then you're back on the slot machine looking for the next thing. So it creates a really kind of like unhealthy behavior with entrepreneurs, because it's like the shiny object syndrome, as opposed to let's create something valuable that can sell quality products to massive amounts of people for the next 6 fucking years. And that's really what I'm about,
Got it. It sounds like more like it's basically what you said, like the long term, right? It's not like something
absolutely.
you're going to just, start doing and just earn, because I think that's like the paradigm that a lot of people have. Like, oh, I'm going to do this, in terms of e-commerce, see these people making like hundreds of thousands, and I'm just going to go and just like, scale it up like within one day.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I don't see it as a thing. Like I don't see it as like a thing or like a site. Like all of the most successful students, like several of the most successful students, their businesses now support their family. They have warehouses that are fully stocked with products. They have like multiple team members in multiple locations. They do multiple 6 figures per month, 300, 400, 500,000 a month. And they're real enterprises that like if they wanted to sell that business, they probably could sell it for like 3 to 5x what the annual profit is, because it's so valuable. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, sure, you can cash flow the thing and it can, create an awesome income for you, but it's like, why not do it properly? And why not create an entire lifestyle, a company out of this thing where you're like, this is a real business, and it wakes you up in the morning and you're like just passionate about it's amazing, So that's the way that we want to do it. Yeah.
100%. And so basically, how did you go from starting like the first few businesses in that sense, and finding the right brands, and then scaling it up to like the 100K per month mark? Basically, how did that journey like look like for you?
I think it's a lot simpler than people kind of want to, I guess, allow themselves to believe. I think the most challenging part of any form of like growth in an e-commerce brand specifically is going from zero to probably like 20,000, probably $0 to $10,000 a month can be the most challenging part, simply because there is so much testing. There's so much like trialing of different advertising, different angles, different hooks, different messaging, different copy, different platforms, so many different things. So that is probably the most challenging part of, I wouldn't say challenging, but it's the most kind of like frustrating, and that's where most people will just like drop off, simply because there's a lot more that you need to put in. But once you get over that hump of say $10,000 to $20,000 a month, to get to $100,000 a month, generally speaking, it's just more ad spend. As long as you know your unit economics and your profit margins properly, and you can manage your finances, and you aren't just like randomly just throwing money into Facebook. As long as you can do that, and you're able to also control the demand and supply of your products, meaning you've got a reasonable kind of inventory management system, there's not very much involved with it. Generally speaking, like if you have enough product on hand and you have a reasonable kind of like idea of how your ad account should look and what good economics look like for your profit margins, it's just let's push more budget in. And a lot of people just get stuck there. They're like, oh, I'm making like 30 grand a month. How do I get to 100? I'm like, show me, let me drive, crank up the ad spend. Oh my God, it's kind of just that simple. And it kind of goes back to what I said before. It's like courage. It's like it's in your head. Like you are like, oh, there's a certain ceiling I need to get past, and it's like, no, bro, it's just in your head. You know, and this is probably one of the most valuable parts that having mentors has given me as well is they reaffirm what you already know. And for the most part, some of the best mentors that I've ever had and ever been associated with, they don't teach me anything, but they allow me to see what I already know as correct and true and go and action it, right? It's like a sounding board for like, I'll share ideas and they'll be like, and they might ask a few questions and I'm like, sounds like that's the right thing to do.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And it's like,
yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
Got it, man. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's what I've been seeing as well. Like, for example, like we have a brand as well that we're working with right now. We went from like, selling on like Amazon and like all these different like platforms and all those things, making like, good money from there. And now building a website, and you see that the process is like a lot different than like, doing that part and having a website and just scaling up. So now it's just like ad spend, ramping up the ad spend, bumping it up, but also keeping the inventory, like the inventory management and all those things, as you mentioned. That is also a thing because, looking at that, when you're going to scale up, like those are basically the two things that need to be good. As long as the scaling goes and the profit margin doesn't decrease too much, then it needs to be good. So what would you say? Like I guess it depends, right? But like, overall, like what have you been seeing in terms of like profit margins? That's something, perhaps like a question that I'm asking also for ourselves, but like what's kind of like a profit margin, like a good range in terms of like profit margins that you would say is like a healthy amount when scaling up from like the 10K to the 100K mark? I think it depends in terms of brands specifically, but like in general.
Product to product, obviously it'll vary a little bit, but I think look, if you were to shoot for around about like, if you're growing really quickly and you can still maintain like 20% net profit, that's pretty good, right? If you're kind of like growing like at maybe like say 20% month, maybe 30% month on month, which is pretty quick, and you're still being able to maintain above say 20% net profit, I would say that's pretty healthy to be able to do that and manage stock rotations and turnovers. But the most important thing, and this is probably for the founders out there, the e-commerce founders out there, that they don't measure is gross profit or profit remaining after cost of goods sold. That is probably one of the most important metrics that no one really like pays too much attention to, and they might look at their kind of like P&Ls or kind of like economic. They probably actually don't, right? They just go, oh yeah, product costs $30, I'm going to sell it for $100, sweet. But like that's probably one of the biggest things that stops people from scaling, because every single time they need to do a new order, they're putting more of their own money in, as opposed to making the business self-sufficient. So if I was to give any advice on margins and unit economics, I would say aim for like 70+% gross profit, and it enables you to grow so much quicker without putting your own money into the business as it grows month on month.
Right, got it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, and so let's say, for example, someone is watching this. They they have an e-commerce brand. They're getting it started and doing that. Like, I'm really interested in also because like Ecom Capital is just an amazing business that you set up, and I think just the entire structure of it and what we were talking about before we started the podcast is. It's really smart because like basically you, of course, it's like an educational platform, right? You really coach people, train people, give them everything you needed. But what would you say is like the when someone is starting out, because you yourself made a 25,000 investment, right? A big investment before even like going into all of these things, right? So in my head, it's always like, okay, investing, whether it be books, whether it be mentors, whether it be coaches, other things, and all those things that will actually either reaffirm, but especially in the beginning, learn you new things that you probably don't know because you don't know what you don't know in the beginning. So what would you say, or talk us a little bit through in terms of like Ecom Capital, so people also have an idea basically of what that is and how you guys have been helping hundreds and hundreds of people basically do what we were just talking about in terms of e-commerce brands.
Absolutely, yeah. So what we do is my firm is committed to helping entrepreneurs start. Either they already have, so there's a couple of different ranges there. So there's people who will start with no idea and we'll help them to craft and create a product. And then they will kind of like launch the product with our kind of methodologies and our support, coaching, training, etc. And then we also have people who come through and they might have an existing brand or product and they just need the right kind of like guidance, support to actually grow the business. And so there's a few different like various levels of support inside of the company itself. But the main thing that I'm most excited about at the moment is probably our mastermind program. So what we have there is essentially, this is probably for people that either are in a couple of stages. It's either you want the best of the best and you've got a little bit more capital than most people, and you want to work with a lot of one-on-one kind of like coaching, support, mentorship. And essentially how that works is you'll work with a kind of person might come in, will help you with the kind of product development, the product creation, the product alignment with manufacturers and suppliers. And then we'll go through a stage of kind of like bringing it to market with like a go-to-market strategy. And you'll work with my team in a very much a one-on-one collaborative manner with various different experts in different areas, for example, product specialists, and then you'll have kind of like marketing specialists, website specialists that will come in at certain junctions to be able to support and guide you and make sure that everything you're doing is aligned with our kind of blueprint for success. And then we'll kind of guide you over this like 12-month journey to be able to build and launch a brand that is like exceptional, aligned with your vision, aligned with our vision for what we expect. And this is probably one of the most premium levels of service that I've seen in this space. I haven't seen anything done like this to this degree, where it's very immersive, it's very hands-on, it's extremely kind of like, I wouldn't say it's like a done for you thing. I don't really believe in those because I think it's a load of shit and I think it's dangerous for people. But as far as like being able to equip and empower people with the best of the best, I believe with hand on my heart that this is probably one of the best options for e-commerce entrepreneurs in the market today. Yeah.
Got it. Amazing. What would you say is the importance of, like, we were already talking about like mentorship, but especially in the part of like, scaling up, because I mentioned to you, I see the book behind you, Scaling Up, right? So what would you say is like the number one tip that you would give to someone looking to scale up, right? Whether that be from like 10 to 100 plus basically, and then getting to the point where they have like storages of like, warehouses doing a couple of 100,000 per month. Like, what would be like your number one tip in regard to scaling up, and for the people that are watching that? Because I see so many people messing up when they like, not like messing up when they scale up, but trying to scale up and then not be able to, and then they scale, then they're like, oh, like, so like, or they try to scale up, they see like, oh, the ROAS is going down, we're like losing money, we're like gonna break even, or like we're gonna go down, and it's like, no, stop, let's go back. What would you say is like the best tip in terms of that?
So I just think that there's two things to this. So number one is like attention, and I would say that is fundamentally the most powerful, valuable asset for individuals and like any stakeholder of any particular company or organization. Is like, what is your attention placed on? What are you fixating 10 to 15 hours a day on every single fucking day? That is fundamental. And if you are chasing 15 different things and looking around for, as Alex Hormozy says, the lady in the red dress, you are never going to be successful. And the decisions that you make will also be fractured, and they'll be messy, and they'll cause even more mess and even more chaos. So attention, being aligned and committed on one thing, it kind of allows you to, by nature of constraints, it allows you to get really deep into the specific thing you're actually trying to solve for. The second thing that I think is further to that point would just be problem identification. And I think this is probably one of the most underrated and underspoken about things. People set big goals and they talk about how much money they're going to make, and they talk about all these cool things they're going to do, and they talk about like the cars and the watches, whatever the fuck, all that stuff. But it's like, they don't sit down and analyze the problem that is actually preventing them from achieving that goal. And I believe more time should be spent on that, to the effect of like, perhaps with my team, my whole team, for example, we have a complete blackout day every Wednesday. No one talks to each other. There's no phones. There's no meetings, except for the sales team. The sales team do their shit. But everyone else, there is no communication. And it is thinking, it is resource building, it is like any form of building new like softwares, tools, systems, any of those things, or it's learning. And that's it, right? And it's like, that is some of the most valuable time in the entire week, because people sit there and go, what am I going to solve today that's going to make a difference in 6 months? And I'm not going to notice it. I'm not going to, see any impact for probably like 15 of these damn Wednesdays. But when it clicks, oh my God, things are going to really make a change. And so I think identifying the right problem and solving for the right problem is extremely undervalued. And I just having done it myself, and this kind of like leads into the next thing. So what you said is like, if you don't identify the problem and you try to scale, you won't understand, or you won't be able to understand that like the way you're acquiring customers is the problem, or the way that your cogs are in any of your products and services is the problem. And you're sitting there, you're like, my damn ad account, I've got to get these new creatives. And you're like, bro, your pricing structure and the way that your products are actually being sold is completely whacked. You're measuring the wrong things. You can go and obsess over creatives all day, but you're never going to actually be able to scale because you're missing the point. And too many people miss the point because they get shiny object syndrome on like, oh, creative, this guy on Instagram said creative, I've got to go fix my creatives, and then we can scale. And they get scared because the ROAS drops, but it's like, bro, you don't know what the problem is. Yeah, and it's like, if you actually sit there and you're able, and this is again, going back to the mentorship, you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So there's this whole missing piece of like the puzzle that you might be sitting there staring right at it, but it's like you can't see it. It's like that magic puzzle thing that you look at, magic eye or something, and as soon as you see it, you're like, oh my God, this is it. Oh, and you never make the mistake ever again. And you see the right thing, you solve the right problem, and your whole business can change in literally, it's like what they say, overnight success. Because you were staring at the thing the whole fucking time, but you didn't know what you were looking at. And you get the right kind of identification of that problem, and all of a sudden it's like, bam. And you're like, I'm scaling to millions a month. And it doesn't even feel fucking hard. Holy shit. Because you identify the right thing.
That's so crucial, man. I was just thinking when you were saying that, like, that is probably, if not the most important thing, because I was talking with like an e-commerce entrepreneur lately, and he was saying, oh, but you know, I'm doing well. We started scaling up, you know, the shop and all those things, and then, oh, but I was looking at, you know, this guy's doing like millions, and like he's doing like, you know, clothing or like something else, or like bounce balls, or like, I don't know, like selling it on like Amazon or some fucking shit. And it was like, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna do that. And I was like, why? I was like, yeah, I already bought these things. I'm going to try it out and test it. Hopefully it's going to, you know, explode. I'm like, but how much are you doing with this right now? He was like, 50K. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, why are you focusing on that? I love this book called Essentialism from Greg McCown, where he talks about, you know, your energy that you have, the focus that you have. It can only be towards, if it goes to one specific thing, you'll have much more output than if you were to divide it over, you know, 10 different types of things. So I think what you said, hits the nail on the head. It's the most important thing. Thing. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's a really great one. And then also one thing, because I don't, of course, like Sasha, I don't want to be taking up too much of your time as well. So just to put this one in as well, a couple of things. One thing is the team. So building a team whilst, you know, growing. From what I hear is basically you guys with, you know, Ecom Capital, at when, you know, a brand is like at a certain stage, you guys also, you know, basically you're practically their team, if you know,
correct.
But other than that, they also have to have, you know, other team members, you know, specific people that can do specific things. With looking at your team and how you've structured it and you've built it, what would you say? Because I think leadership is one of the most important things, but it's one of the hardest things to learn and how to do it. I've also been reading like Jocko Willink, right? And how he's been leading a team of like Navy SEALs back in the day. But like, I think leadership is something really interesting. So how has that journey been for you in terms of building a team? And what would you say is like, you know, the most important thing when it comes to, you know, building a team?
That's a really good question. And it's something that I'm committing a lot to this year specifically, because my team's growing really quickly. I think so far this year, I think we've hired about like 12 or 13 people, I think, like year to date, in terms of like full-time people, and then there's probably about another 6 or 7 like commission-only people in terms of the sales team. So very, very quick growth, and without kind of the right like culture and the right kind of like structures inside of the team, it becomes chaotic and messy. So I think when it comes to team, I think it's very important to kind of like look at, so if I go team first and then I'll go into leadership. So from the team wise, I think probably one of the best ways to start there is start with the key departments that you have at the moment, and map out like an organizational chart, and be like, this is, and not right now, but like in the future. Right, like for where you want to get to. So, okay, I'm making $1 million a year. Okay, this is what okay, I'm going to have the CEO, I'm going to have the CMO, I'm going to have the COO, and you might map out these roles, and you might kind of like just start to visualize what it might look like. And at the start, it's probably going to be you doing all those things, or you might have like 2 or 3 people, and it's like I'm the COO and the CMO, and you're the CEO. You're going to kind of like put these multiple different hats on. And as your business grows, I think it's very important to kind of like align people in those certain departments. And a very, very, very crucial thing to understand is that the people that become part of your organization at, say, I don't know, like $1 million a year are not the same people that can run that organization at like $15 million a year, right? Unless you like insanely invest into them and develop them and grow them. But it is very, very likely that a company's revenues can exceed an individual and their personal development in terms of how quickly they can develop as a leader. I can't develop as a leader as quick as my company can grow, right? So I'm constantly like reading and learning and researching. I've got mentors screaming at me from every different angle on how to improve as a leader, because my company is growing so quickly and I know there's so many demands that I don't understand. And so I use probably one of the wisest books that I've ever read, which is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And it kind of answers for that question, because I don't know all the answers, and you don't know all the answers, and you listening don't know all the answers. But there is a who out there that can help with that. And I think as a really good leader, something that is very, very challenging, especially as you're going through a lot of growth, is accepting and coming to terms that there are a lot of things that you are bad at, and being like, I genuinely am not good at that. And it's an ego test, and you're kind of like, yeah, I'm not the best at that. I need to find a who. I need to find a who to do that for me, which can continue positioning me back in my genius zone. And being able to do that, and being able to do the same with your team as well, and nurture and grow your team. Like we have so many like leadership development days, team development days, training days on a personal development, as well as like strategic development days. All of those things kind of like create so much like alignment between departments, between different team members. One of the most fundamental things that I have done really, really well is attach my company vision to each of the people in my team and their personal vision. Because entrepreneurs don't understand that my team members, being employees or maybe commission-based, whatever their situation is, they will never, ever, ever have the same level of vision, passion, enthusiasm as you do, ever. And I don't give a fuck if you say it every single day. They will never, ever, ever, if you go, we're going to get to this amount of money, they'll be like, well, that's good for you. Like, I don't really care. And that's what they think, right? So for me, I spend so much time, and we meet every single month in person with my whole team. We come together and we map like all of the constraints in each department. We solve for the right constraints. We map the whole quarter. We look at where we're going with the objectives for that quarter. We look at the big 10-year vision. And every single time we do the 10-year vision, I'm like, when we get there, what is that going to do for you? And we write out every single person's vision, how the company's vision is going to tie into their vision. And they go, oh, wow, I can see it. Oh my God. And they get so energized, and they leave the room and they're like, I can see how me working harder is going to contribute to that, which is going to make me and my life better as well. So it's a very challenging game to play. And I think like having a skill set as far as marketing or product development or anything else is entirely different from leadership. And I think leadership is its own beast completely in and of itself. But some of the key things that I do is massive people development. I invest a lot in my people, and I really, really push my leaders very hard, only with their permission. I have really, really high standards on them, and they know that. And they also have committed to me with the kind of understanding of like, hey, if the company exceeds my personal development, my leadership development level, bring someone else in that can continue with the company's growth, and then I'll go and take a different position. So we're very much like on the same wavelength with that. It's crucially important. And then I think the last piece, which is also very important, is just having a culture that allows for open feedback. Because there's this thing called like the CEO effect, where you're the CEO, you're the big bad dude that gets angry all the time if you get a problem presented to you. If someone comes to you with a problem, you'll flip your freaking switch and just rage at them. So people don't want to upset you, and they hold problems to themselves, and problems are signs that you are growing and breaking shit, which is positive. So you want to create the culture that's like, hey, here's an issue and this thing's busted. What are we going to do to fix it? Those are some of the main things that I've found from my team that have really helped and really driven the team forward. The vision is massive, aligning the company vision with their vision and allowing them to see that is huge. Yeah.
Wow, that's so many great insights, man. I hope people watching it. I am getting like insights that I'm thinking like, wow, that's something we're going to implement right away. Talking about the vision, and to touch upon that just a little bit, what is the vision for Ecom Capital? How does that look like for like the months, years to come? Like what is the grand vision for the business?
Yeah, so I've always had the vision when we founded this company to be the household name kind of synonymous with starting an e-commerce business and have a connotation or an association with like a bank or a financial institution, a fiduciary, where people come to this place where they know that the level of professionalism, trust, and authenticity is so blue chip that like they come to it in droves because they know that this is the most premium service in the market. And so that being like one component, as far as just like how I foresee the company's like ethos and brand being known. The second piece to that is just I really have the vision at the moment specifically, and I'm working very hard with all of my product team at the moment on this to create unique and proprietary solutions and tools and softwares that only are, I guess, available in Ecom Capital. So at the moment, I have an AI team and a product engineering team that are building and developing like all of our own custom softwares and tools and systems that are designed to be able to help with and provide people with a solution to completely find products for you in a way that provides all of the data and research using my criteria to the point where we can just display to you all of the graphs, metrics, formats, and formulas, and then plug you in directly with the right supplier. And these suppliers are people that I've gone to China and vetted and verified, and we plug them in to that tool to be able to actually give you the best first grade suppliers and products. And then from that stage, that same tool will be able to actually produce your website. Obviously, that's quite basic, but then provide you with like a go-to-market strategy and analyze all different various e-commerce businesses in the market, grab feedback from creatives, different kind of angles, copies, etc. that they are using, and then give you like, okay, this is what you're selling, this is what we recommend, these are the creative strategies, this is how to start ad spend wise on this platform, and create like a complete solution. So in terms of what I want and what I foresee, it's really big. It's to be able to provide like complete end-to-end service and solution for people who wish to start a business, wish to grow their existing business. I want to always lead by example. I have a big vision with all of the e-commerce businesses that I own myself, where I want to continue buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling until I reach $100 million value with those stores that I own myself. So that's something that I foresee myself also achieving in the next probably 3 years time as well. So lots is on, and I'm just deeply committed to the whole cause and all the people that are in the team and in the organization. It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, amazing, man! Amazing what you've been able to achieve so far, and what you're going to be achieving, because it's a great ecosystem setup, but it's also, like I said, it's really smartly done, and that what you just mentioned and the vision that you have, that sounds like a machine, to be honest, for any type of person wanting to build an e-commerce brand or grow their existing ones. I think it's a machine. So with that being said, I have to take a look at the time and also Sasha's time. Sasha, I want to end it off at, perhaps one last thing you would like to leave people with. I think we've already led them with a lot of things, but perhaps something, last thing that you would like to leave them with, and also where people can find more about Ecom Capital if they want to, learn more about, growing their e-commerce business and getting the help from you. So what is something specific you would want to let the people behind with, and where can they find Ecom Capital? Mm. Mm. Awesome. Perfect. Great. Awesome. We'll have everything linked down here in the description so you guys can check out Ecom Capital and also check out Sasha's channel. So, yeah, Sasha, I want to thank you so much, man, for taking the time, knowing, of course, you're building an amazing business and it's only going to get better. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the immense value. And I think, you know, at least for myself, I've taken a lot out of it. So I'm guessing the people will also have taken it out. And yeah, thank you so much, man, for jumping on and, you know, taking the time today. And you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to, you know, let you know the next time we'll also have, probably for next week, we'll also have another podcast. This time, you know, this has been an amazing podcast, man. I'm so hyped right now. So if you guys aren't hyped right now to, you know, scale your business, grow your business, I don't know what will get you hyped. Sasha, thank you so much again, man. And maybe perhaps in the future we can do one live, you know, and see where it takes us then. In Dubai, exactly. That will be the case, 100%. Sasha, thanks again. You guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.